United States Marines on Thursday arrested U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Linda Thomas-Greenfield on charges of conspiracy to commit election fraud and treason after implicating her in a heinous plot to have United Nations observers and peacekeepers monitor polling locations on election night 2024, sources in General Eric M. Smith's office told Real Raw News. Thomas Greenfield was nominated by Joseph R. Biden to be the representative of the United States of America to the United Nations as well as the representative of the United States of America in the Security Council of the United Nations on January 20, 2021, and the Senate confirmed her 3 days later. Our source said White Hats hadn't considered her a threat until discovering her treachery last week. Marine Corps Forces Cyberspace Command, he added, intercepted an audio conversation between Thomas Greenfield and UN Under-Secretary General for Peace Operations Jean-Pierre Lacroix, who White Hats had previously declared an international criminal when his name surfaced at Merrick Garland's military tribunal in March. This guy despises President Trump even though Trump hasn't done anything to him. These roaches just keep crawling out of the woodwork. Based on what we know, in this case, Thomas Greenfield solicited his help, not the other way around, our source said. On the intercepted call, Thomas Greenfield is heard formally requesting UN assistance to safeguard polling locations from MAGA insurrectionists and disloyal U.S. military elements, eager to destabilize the election by intimidating Democrat voters. Biden, she said, expects that MAGA antagonists will encircle polling locales in blue counties throughout the nation, antagonizing, traumatizing, and terrorizing peaceful Democrats, depriving them of their constitutional right to re-elect Joseph Biden, and the country of an equitable election. She also made a shocking acknowledgement. An alarming number of military commanders had lost confidence in the administration and were unlawfully aiding President Trump's personal war of attrition against lawfully elected Democrats. Biden, she said, could no longer rely on calling up the National Guard to repel military traitors and Trump's unstoppable MAGA. Tell me something I do not know, Lacroix told her. I cannot enter the U.S. anymore because they will burn me at the stake. They're hanging innocent people, not burning them, Thomas Greenfield corrected him. Same thing. Americans will not tolerate UN peacekeepers. And this would put our people at risk, Lacroix said. She said the consequence of a few skirmishes was insignificant compared to what would happen if Donald Trump again sat in the Oval Office, severing all ties to the UN and irrevocably terminating the funding of over 600 UN programs. The bankrolling would end then and there, she told Lacroix. And President Biden wouldn't announce the peacekeepers until a day or two before the election. He and Obama will hold a press conference calling it necessary to preserve election integrity, and the people, enough of them, will believe it. They'll believe whatever we tell them. We'll make sure they have good reason to. She went on to say that 60,000 to 70,000 peacekeepers ought to be sufficient to reinforce the FBI and Homeland Security forces already scheduled to watch polling stations for MAGA insurgents and military mutineers on Election Day. She said, "We'll arrange it so people here welcome peacekeepers with open arms," but she didn't specify how exactly the administration would make it a reality. Nonetheless, Lacroix replied that he would submit the proposal to his superior, ostensibly Antonio Guterres, and respond to her once he had an answer. White Hats made certain Thomas Greenfield wouldn't be available to receive that call. Early Thursday morning, Marines disarmed the wireless alarm at her Queens, New York, residence and discreetly made entry, catching Thomas Greenfield and her husband, Lafayette M. Greenfield, sleeping soundly in bed. By the time the couple realized a half-dozen armed Marines were in their bedroom, they'd already been injected with a fast-acting sedative that quickly rendered them unconscious. We suspect the husband knew of her crimes and is complicit. He'll be tried with her, our source said. They're not talking, naturally, and are at a holding facility. Asked what fortuitous happenstance led Cyberspace Command to overhear the phone call, he said white hats have eyes and ears everywhere and have been monitoring LaCroix's correspondences since his and Obama's faces popped up on the Zoom call shown at Garland's tribunal. In closing, he said the term, UN peacekeepers, is a misnomer. What the UN calls peacekeepers is actually an armed invasion force. If we see even one blue helmet out there, we're shooting to kill. Hopefully, LaCroix, and we'll get him some time, will figure out we got her and abandon any thoughts of landing blue helmets in the United States of America. Quote,